Hi guys, Penny Lulu.
Hey, John Frederick here.
And this is the Barefoot Director. And today we are at Lamar, Port Arthur.
Yay. So we came out to Lamar State College, Port Arthur to see the sound engineer. There's a guy named Matthew Rowe. He's an instructor out here. He teaches sound engineering. And he also does some freelance work on filmmaking as the sound guy. So I was interested in how all that stuff works in filmmaking, how sound works. So I called him up, asked him if I could come out and talk to him about a few things. And he came out and laid all of his equipment out and went over how each different sound recording device works and how it works in filmmaking. So it was really cool. We captured some video of him explaining a few things, and that's what we want to show you today. So
John learned what a dead cat was.
Yeah, a dead cat. It's a very sad day. So
Let's
roll
check it out.
film. Hey, Barefoot Director family. Today we're here at Lamar State College, Port Arthur with sound engineer and instructor Matthew Rowe. Matthew's going to be going over some sound engineering and sound equipment stuff that's used in filmmaking. So Matthew, what do you do here at Lamar?
Yes, I'm an instructor for audio engineering and sound for film. I also teach video editing and acoustics here at Lamar State College, Port Arthur. And we're just going to go over some of the basic gear that you need to really get started with doing sound for film work.
Outstanding. Sounds complicated. I'm ready to learn. Let's go.
Three things you have in every film is your people, your visual, and your audio. And I've always find it funny how the visual side, you can have teams of hundreds of people working on behind the camera, making the set is right. And then the audio is usually between 1 and 3 guys.
Yeah.
3 guys if you're really lucky.
Isn't that the truth? The clap from the slate board, and they match it up with the video of the slate board.
Yeah, that is the basic sound for film setup, where you record your sound completely independently, and then in post they will use the slate to sync the video and audio up.
Yeah,
that's why the slate's so important. It doesn't
Yeah,
just
I literally just learned that.
Yeah. Now what we did on the powder horn, we didn't do that. We had a special digital slate and a device called a timecode hop. With the timecode hop, you had one attached to the recorder and one attached to the camera, and then they were linked to the slate. So everything had the same time code, which was just a number that said whatever antiquated time, but they all shared that same number. So when you put it into post, it would all sync up based on that number as opposed to the slate.
Yeah, that's what they used in Greyhound.
Yeah, exactly. So for spindle top, I used this recorder attached to that bag, and this boom pole, and this stuff here, and that was it.
And then that's what you mic'd us up
And
with?
these are the lav kits.
Ah.
Now I have purchased this contact kit, which is what's cool about this is it's kind of the opposite of a lav kit. So I can send an audio feed from the recorder into this, and it will send that audio feed to each one of these units. That way I can give one to the director, and the director will be able to listen to what the sound's coming through. I can put one on the camera, and the camera will record reference audio from that pack. I have 2 more of those that then I can give one to the boom op and let the boom op hear without running extra cables and stuff.
Dang, so it's all wireless.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would run, not only would I have the actor set up with labs, I would run the boom pole on a lab as well. And so the boom op would be completely autonomous from the recorder if there's a two-man op. If it's one man, then I'm using this bag, I'm strapping some backpack straps on it, and I'm doing it all at the same time. When it comes to recorders, you have multiple different options. This is the cheaper of the 3 options. This is the Zoom H5. You can put a belt clip on it, you can put it on a camera, and if I wanted to like boom up with it, I just plug it in here, put it on my belt clip, and I'd go. With these are set up for a bit bigger options. So yes, you would normally keep those in a bag or something like this, where you would have all your labs and stuff hooked into the bag, as well as antenna receivers and wireless receivers and things like that. And this might just sit on a cart, or if you're going light, your field mixer might just have it strapped to their chest with
so like
headphones.
The YouTube skip we were doing, the guy had this hung over his neck, and then the cable came out of the bag, and went to the guy who was holding the boom mic, and then he had headphones on, so he would listen while he was doing it, and then sound speeds and all that.
And my setup is to eliminate having the boom op attached to the field mixer.
Yeah, man, because it was a nightmare with that cable running and everything.
Exactly. And the last set I worked on, we had a setup like that. We had a setup where you could run 2 boom ops completely autonomously from the mixer. And so we were free to go wherever, which was great because we're working around a big center fire and really.
So what did they run to? If they were wireless, they ran to what?
They used Sony lav packs, kind of like these. The only things with these do not offer phantom power, and all your shotgun mics are condenser mics that require power. All phantom power is, it's a voltage that it sends to power the microphone. These have to have electricity in order to record, unlike something like a dynamic microphone, which is just a coil that compresses and uncompresses when you speak into it. So, if I were to use, with the setup that I have currently, what I would do is I would use these packs and I would use this mic. This is the Rode NTG2, and it might not be the best in terms of sound quality compared to this mic, which is the Rode NTG3, and this, which is the Schoeps Mini C-Mitt. We just got this in a couple days ago. This is the lightest mic and great for indoor shooting. I would use this, and what's great about this mic is I can unscrew this, and I've got a battery compartment.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it gives, I can provide phantom power without having any kind of external device provided. So I would run this on my boom pole and run it into one of our lab kits, and the receiver would go into our recorder.
Okay, this is where I'm getting confused. What do you mean run it into one of our lab kits?
Oh, so what I mean is there would be a cable at the end of this, and that cable plugs into here. And I can actually, instead of just saying it, I can show you. I've got a special 3/8 connector that would plug in to the top here with an XLR connector that would plug into the end of the mic. That's just the wrong cable.
That totally makes sense now.
Yeah, that is the point. Okay.
So instead of being the little, clip-on loud.
Correct. This would just be a wireless boom pole.
Gotcha.
Again, depending on the type of shots and stuff, you might want your field mixer to be further away than what your boom op is doing. For example, on Powderhorn, we were working with horses, and they were very clear to have only people who had to be there around the horses. So the boom op was around the horses, and fortunately, he was already he was an interesting dude. He already was like, he rode in rodeos and stuff, so he was very comfortable around horses, knew how to act around horses without risk of being injured. Not that a horse is likely to harm you, but more likely you did something stupid to get yourself hurt by a horse.
Certainly.
But yeah, so he was able to get close while the field mixer was able to sit safely back and not worry about being in the action.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me ask you this. So
yes.
I'm just trying to follow the hierarchy of this stuff. So this would go into this.
Correct.
Now,
and then this is our receiver, which would be plugged into our recorder.
Okay, that's the same as this.
They look the same, but they aren't.
Oh.
Yeah, so the easiest way to tell, if you look at the top here, there's a mute switch. There's also a mic line in switch. So this is what your lab plugs into. This is what your what you would plug this into.
Right.
While this only has an AF out on the end, which is your audio out that would feed into your recorder. So they look the same, but they actually both hold 2 different functions.
Okay, so this hardwires into that.
Correct.
And these talk wirelessly. That's how you get sound.
Yep.
To there. Now, how do you? Okay, so if I'm out there holding this, right, and
yes.
I've got my wireless pack here. How do I hear now?
That's what these are for. So this would hook into our recorder, and our recorder would send audio out from this to this pack, which would be clipped on you, and your headphones would go into.
Okay, so the sound and stuff comes into here.
Yep.
And then it goes out another line
into here
to that to
here.
To the headphones.
Yes.
God.
So you're gonna have 2 things. Yeah. Well, no, that'll be clipped. This will be clipped on your boom pole. This will be clipped on your hip, and your headphones will be plugged into this.
Right.
And you will be able to hear everything that you need to hear. Also, some of these have built-in microphones. This one doesn't, but this one does. It has a built-in microphone to where if I was sitting away from you, I could talk to you in your headphones.
Oh my God.
And then you could talk into your boom mic to communicate back with me.
Oh, that is wicked.
Yeah.
So, now would you typically have your camera operator wearing this and talking to you and listening to you to talk back and forth with the camera operator, or would you have a different guy?
This
who's
would be if
just
you had
the back
sound
boy?
somewhere else.
Correct. This would be if your sound team was 2 people. So when you have 2 people on a sound team, you have your boom op and you have your field mixer.
I got you.
Your field mixer is the person who is operating the recorder. He's hitting the record and stop button. He's also recording the mix that is going to all of the ears. That way, if you have a director who wants to listen to what's going on with sound, they can put on their headphones and you send them a feed and everything, and blend it to where everything sounds nice between your lav mics and your boom pole.
Okay, let me ask you this: you got a guy with the boom pole. So he's over here with the actors and he's set up, ready to go.
Yep.
Is the guy who's operating this the guy who's going to report that sound speeding?
Yes.
Okay.
Or often what we'll do, it depends kind of who's on earshot of the director. So sometimes it might be the field mixer saying sound speed so the director hears it. Sometimes if it's further away and the boom op is closer to the director or the assistant, the first assistant director, then they'll say speed into the microphone to inform the boom op, and the boom op will call out so the director can hear it.
Okay, so what is sound speed? What does that mean?
Okay, so sound speed is
Exceeding the speed limit.
Yeah. Sound speed is the call out that the sound team has to make to let the director and the first AD know that we are recording sound. For example, whenever the camera hits record, they yell out rolling. Sound speed is the sound version of that. And what that means, so the origin of sound speed comes from back in the day. It took time for sound recorders, their tape reels, to reach the correct recording speed. So they would yell out sound speed, and that would be the declaration that they were ready to record. And we've just kept with it through all these years.
I like it.
Yeah. Another term that comes back to the ye olden days of film.
Mid-out sound, MOS.
Whenever you are shooting something with MOS, which means motor-only sound. And what that meant is whenever they were recording without audio, they would leave the motors on the audio recorder running because it was such a big piece of equipment back then. And so when they'd say motor-only sound, all they were picking up was the sound of the motors, and they weren't actually recording anything. And that, again, stuck with us through the years, and that's what we call out today for shots that don't actually use sound.
So give me an example of that, MOS.
MOS? Well, if we were to shoot something at 60 frames per second because we wanted it to be in slow motion, they wouldn't use sound for a shot like that. So they just go ahead and only film the video, and they call it MOS. They put MOS on the slate so that everybody would know not to...
Now, the sound's not going to sound right. It would be slowed down,
Yeah, we slow down the audio, too.
That's a different lesson now. You said 60 frames per second.
Yeah, so what frames per second means is that is how many still images the camera captures per second. Normally, we do like 29.5 or something like that is the popular television film frame rate. And oftentimes people will just record at 30 frames per second, which means every 30 seconds, or every second, it's capturing 30 frames.
There's a video I watched that said for cinematic shoots, they record 24 frames per second.
That is also, yes, that is also a frame rate that they will use a lot.
And I don't know what that means. How is that different from anything else? And how is that cinematic?
Well, okay, well, for example...
I know I'm outside of your...
Well, no, this is fine. I do know the answer to this,
okay.
Which is... say you take a photo with your phone. Let's say I just took a video at 1 frame per second. Because in 1 second, I took 1 photo.
Yeah.
Now let's say in that 1 second, I took 30 photos. And let's say in that 1 second that I took 30 photos, you were doing something on the other side of the camera. I just essentially manually filmed something at 30 frames per second. And if we scrolled through the photos or played the photos in time, one after the other, it would smoothly look like you were doing something.
That's how you get the motion.
Correct.
It's because it's 30 seconds, but in that speed.
Yeah, it's 1 second, but it's 30 still images.
30 still images.
Thinking logically, if that were the case, it seems like the lower the frame rate, the slower it would be.
Well,
that's the opposite?
It's not that it's slower, it's that it's choppier. So let's
say... You said 60 frames is slow motion.
Correct. And I'll explain why.
Oh, okay.
But first, let's explain what happens if you were to shoot in, say, 5 frames per second. If I were to be waving 5 frames per second, you would see my hand here, then you'd see it here,
exactly.
Then you'd see it here. Now, at 30 frames, you'd actually get a relatively smooth wave. And then at 60 frames, you would get an even smoother wave because you have more of that information. But if we slow that down to half speed...
We're only showing 30 of those 60.
So you have to have a higher frame rate to slow it down.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it'd go back to choppy crap.
Exactly.
Bam.
That is it.
I'm tracking.
So that is 100%.
I'm slow.
But are you 60 frames per second slow?
Yeah, so what's popular right now with a lot of stuff is they can shoot higher and slow it down even more. But what typically gets used on film is they'll go up to 60 frames per second and then slow it down to 30 frames to get a smooth, slow motion image.
That makes sense. Boom. Matthew knows a few things.
I know, it's almost like I teach this stuff.
Right. Initially, and the whole reason I came here is because I'm at a point where I may want to just shoot something, amateur shoot something, just to dabble in it. I don't want to become a sound engineer or a cinematographer, but I'd like to, learn how to do this stuff just to have the knowledge.
Okay, well, even then, the more you know, the easier it is for you to work with people who do those things.
Also. But I'm wondering, without having to do all this stuff and then go in and align everything in post and all that crap, what if I wanted to, have multiple actors all have a wireless lav, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted it all to record with the video in the camera. Mm-hmm. And that way I can just... put it into my software, and the audio and video track are both there.
Yep. So that can be tricky depending on how many people you want to record. There are top-mounted attachments for cameras that give you multiple inputs. And so that depends on the type of camera you're using and the type of camera you're attaching. But that is the easiest way to get direct audio into your camera. You would put, say, if you have you have 4 people, and you get a 4-channel sound attachment for your camera. You would hook that up to your camera, and then as it's recording video, it would also start recording your audio into there, and you would have everything connected to that. I don't have an example of that to show you, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would pull one out.
I was going to say, I watched a video where the guy had, on the top of his camera, I don't remember the camera, anyway, on top of his camera, he had, it looked like maybe it was plugged into the hot shoe.
Yeah. Exactly, you get a hot shoe attachment.
Yeah, but it was a box like this, and it had all these little like this.
Yep, I bet you it was a Tascam recorder. Which
this guy.
Just based on things that you see. So if I were to pull it up, Tascam is just the brand, but it's essentially a recorder like one of these. So many little details you have to pay attention to when you're filming something. Even so how a person speaks, making sure that 2 people aren't cutting each other off when they're speaking. Because it's easier to fake cutting somebody off than having them actually cut them off in acting if you want to be able to edit and cut between people and have it all look smooth and sound right. But, so there's that. You have to pay attention to make sure everything on a set stays the same between takes. So continuity is incredibly important. This has attachments where you can put something like this onto your camera rig. And then you can run out of here and directly into your camera. So what you would do is you would have your main mix or your reference mix, and then you would still have the file off of here that you would dump into your software. And it's set up like that. Like when you have this directly attached to a camera, you can sync time code between these 2 devices and still have it all sync up perfectly without having to line up your slate. Now also, depending on the editor you're using, syncing up can be incredibly easy because all you have to do is right-click your file, your video and your audio, hit sync, and then it'll ask you how you want to sync it. And you can say time code, you can say slate, you can say audio, and it will automatically sync up your feeds.
Maybe I should just sign up for one of his classes or something.
I am teaching a video editing class this semester.
Just for reference, so I take my camera, right, and I shoot a video using the internal microphone.
Yep. So
that somehow puts the video and the audio track together.
Yes.
So how do you do that with external mics?
If you plug in an external mic into the camera, it will recognize that there's an external mic, and it will automatically do that if it's plugged directly into the camera.
So can I? That's what I was saying. Can I do that with those?
Yes, you can. You can. The bigger problem you have is if you are. The only thing it won't do is it won't give you the multiple different audio feeds separately. Pardon me. So if there's a problem in levels, it's harder to fix.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only problem with that. While with this, like I can output a single file that you drag that single file into your video editing, and it breaks it up into multiple audio files because it saves multiple audio files together in one file that essentially dumps multiple audio files into your track. But you can also, so normally what I would do is I would run reference audio to the camera, so the camera is recording audio and it's recording the mix of everything. And then if you say you really like the way it sounded, you could just stick with that. Or you could then drag the recorded audio from the recorder into your video editor, and because you have reference audio, you can automatically sync up your recorded audio with the reference audio from the camera instantly, because they both captured the slate. It doesn't matter what you use, so long as you are familiar with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big thing. So making sure that whatever you use, you can use well, you're fine.
How many labs can you? How many people can you mic up?
This will take 8. This takes 8 channels of input. This takes 4 channels of input. Nice. This one off the bat takes only 2 channels of input, but you can put extenders on here to give yourself more inputs.
Most interested in a 4-channel.
Yeah.
Right
so
how would you wire up 4? If you had 4 people mic'd with wireless labs,
yeah,
how would you wire that into this?
I mean, it's each of these labs come with this cable that is XLR male on one end, and so you take your 1/8 inch.
Oh,
you plug it into your output on your receiver, and you plug this into one of the 4.
There's only 2, man.
XLR female jacks here on the side.
Oh, I thought that went to one of these.
These are your outputs.
Okay. Oh, so these are male?
Oh, yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, so these are all of your inputs. So you have your 4 inputs on the side.
Okay, so you would have 4 of these things in your baggie that would go
exactly.
That would go to the 4 wireless.
Yeah, so
okay.
If I had this slipped in this bag here, I'd put the bag here.
Steinheiser.
And then this, it actually has slots right here where you can slip that onto. And I'd slip 2 on the inside pockets and then 2 more here on the outside. And that's all 4 lavs.
Well, I'll be damned. Now, if you had your 4 lavs plugged in, you couldn't use a boom as well, right?
Correct. Okay. You have to sacrifice one of your
The 4 inputs are 4 inputs, period.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Oh, exactly. I could literally go and I could plug like mics for a piano into those inputs. They will take whatever you can plug into them, but you're limited to 4.
Gotcha.
And that's why this one is nice, because it's got the 8.
Yeah, man.
So, and most shoots and things that like we do around here that I've been on, you don't typically have more than at most 3 characters that have dialogue on screen
at one time, right?
Yeah. So I usually go.
I think the 4 would be good for me.
Yeah, I usually go. First input is my boom, and then the other 3 are going to be for characters or for labs, and that's really it. If I was doing something more complicated and they had 2 boom ops. Say with this, I would go 1 and 2 are my booms, and then everything past that are labs as well. There's plenty of versatility. You can set it up any way you want, but
now these are specifically for your booms.
They don't have to be specifically for your booms. They're just I will be giving it to my boom, but also say if I'm doing on a shoot by myself, which because a lot of people don't invest a lot of money into sound, so it might be one guy doing all of the sound work. For example, spindle top, I'd carry the bag, I'd have this hooked onto the bag, and then the director would have one, and then another one of these would be plugged into the camera.
Okay, so you only need 1 transmitter?
Correct. That's what's great about this.
Man.
This will transmit up to, I want to say, 8 units. So we've got 4. I've got actually 2 of these kits. I've only brought 1 in here, but I've got 2 of these kits, and they will transmit. Each one of these transmitters will transmit up to 8 units.
So and it's a
so
standard 3.5.
Yeah. Yep. So anyone who needs it, they can hear what sound is doing. So usually the director Usually there's something going into camera, and then if cinematography wants one, that's not very common. Boom op with me, I'd give one to the boom op. But there's lots of versatility in these packs, and those just came in. If you really want to save money and have some more versatility, there's companies like Deity that they have their lav kit can do multiple different things.
Sounds scary.
So you can set it to work like a regular lav mic. You can set it to work like one of these kits here, and use to where you can use it to listen to what you can use it as a comm device essentially. And then it has one more mode. What was that other mode that it had? It could be a recorder. So if you didn't have say a field mixer or something, you could set it to just record whoever it is that you're getting on. And those are actually relatively cheap. I want to say for $600 you can get a dual receiver and 2 lav packs.
So you're saying the receiver has all those functions?
The lav itself has those functions. So you plug the receiver into here, and then, like I said, I could send audio to the lav pack and let you listen from it, or I could receive audio from the lav pack and record it. You can't do both, but you have those. You have the versatility of selecting what you want to use it for.
That would make sense if maybe you're doing a voiceover, but if you're in a scene with your lab and you have headphones on, listening at the same time,
it's not for an actor, but it depends on the project. So if I'm just starting out and I have very limited equipment, then having the versatility to say, oh, I have 4 of these, I'm only using 2 labs, but I have a boom op with me. Well, here, let me give this to the boom op as a in-ear so he can hear as well wirelessly, instead of purchasing something like this. It gives more versatility. It's cheaper. It's not as the company doesn't make. I couldn't tell you about the quality of the gear because I have not had a chance to test the gear out myself.
So, but it's actually the transmit module that.
Yeah.
Plugging. Wow.
Yeah, it's they're multi-use, and so I've been trying to get in touch with the company to see if they will send me some demo models so I can try them out and see. And if we like them, I'm going to make purchase requests for the school. But I have not had, and if I like them, I'm going to make some personal purchases as well of the equipment. Because like I said, it seems like it's really good starting gear, but I haven't had the chance to test it yet. If you for the boom op, this allows the boom op to be wireless from hearing, from monitoring.
For the headphones, yeah.
This is the mic I would use to make the boom wireless, but I am planning on purchasing some better lab kits that have phantom power built in, so I don't need the battery in this.
Oh, yeah.
That way I can run, say, a mic like this, or a mic like this. I had some mics suggested to me on the set of Powderhorn that I plan on purchasing that are significantly lighter, and I'm going to try and lighten this kit up as much as possible, because there you notice the difference between a heavy mic and a light mic. When you're having it, you have it fully extended, you're holding it up over your head for a long scene.
When I wasn't doing my scenes on that 5-day YouTube shoot, I was running Boomer Slate. He was having us do double duty.
Oh wow!
So he's like, "Oh hey, can you run boom for me?" So I'd be in there, and there'd be a guy in the bed, right? And then they'd be in there doing a kind of a tight, so I would have to be like at the end of the bed, and I'm holding this pole, and it's way over there. I'm like, okay, oh Jesus, hurry up.
Oh, I was switching back and forth between a windshield like this and a bigger microphone, and this other like really small, really light microphone that had a custom-made, really light windshield, and the difference was night and day between holding them up.
Hey, do they make any carbon fiber?
They do, and they are so much lighter than these metal boom poles. So I have 2 different types of boom poles here, actually. One is internally coiled, the other one is externally coiled. So this is an externally coiled boom pole. It has no cabling or anything in it, so if I run cables, I would have to wrap it around the outside and let it run down.
That's how we did ours.
Or run a lav pack up here, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So this is a really good option. It's really quiet, really opens up. This is metal, so it is heavier. And like I said previously, when it comes to boom poles, when you've got this thing all the way opened up and fully extended, you want as little weight as possible when you're having to hold it up like this all day.
Exactly.
So those carbon fiber ones, which are supposed to be used on the Powderhorn, were really nice. They really saved it a lot of weight. If we were working inside, I'd just throw one of those on the microphone and not use the full windshield.
Oh, yeah. So if you're working outside, what would you put on this?
I would put it in here and in one of these.
Oh, this is just a case?
Well, it's a windshield shock mount. So
I thought that was an actual microphone.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh,
so your microphone slips in here, you plug it in, cable runs down here.
I had no idea.
And then for light wind, you might just run it with,
Yeah, because I noticed one time we were shooting indoors and they took this off and it was just that thing.
Yep, there's no reason, I
thought that was a giant microphone.
I mean, it's easy to see why you might if you've never seen one of these taken apart before.
Yeah, I didn't know it came apart.
Yeah, so mic goes in here
inside of it.
in light wind, or if I were using this indoor, I just keep it like this, and then if it got really windy, I would slip this on top of it, and that would protect. That would basically eliminate all wind noise.
So is that the dead cat?
This is the dead cat.
I didn't know what the whole thing was, but it's the actual cover.
Yes, the cover itself that goes over the windshield.
Because it looks like a dead cat.
You know what I would tell the actors? If I was running boom and the actors were struggling with their lines, I would lean it down like right here, and I'd say, "You got to pet the dead kitty. If you want to run your lines well, pet the dead kitty." And they would pet the kitty. Oh, we had some fun with it.
Yeah, the one I used on, I don't know what they filmed before, but the one I used at on Powderhorn had like fake blood all over it. I was like, "Ooh, what have you been recording?"
Oh my God, your kitty sheds. Holy crap.
Yeah, it needs to be brushed. It says, the dead cat is used to eliminate wind sound and recording outside. Don't ask me how it works. I have no idea. But whenever you have a mic outside, the wind will brush your capsule, and you start to hear that on the recordings. Somehow the fur prevents that wind from making noise. And I need to actually look into that because I have always wondered about it, but never put forth the effort. Also have these little fur balls that go on the end of lav mics.
Oh yeah, exactly what I was looking for, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. I said I literally teach this stuff for a living. I very much enjoy it, and more like people like you who understand more about it, understand what it's like when you're investing money into hiring professionals to come in and do it.
Yeah.
Working on film is the absolute most exciting thing.
Okay, so that was my day of learning about sound and how sound works in filmmaking. So hope you guys learned some stuff. I know I learned a ton of stuff. Matthew Rowe is a genius when it comes to sound. So
yep, so hopefully some of it might help us out one day. It didn't today.
Yeah. So we tried to use this microphone that came with my little vlog kit, and it was terrible. So this is actually take 2.
We will see you next time, guys. I'm Penny Lulu.
John Frederick signing off.
The Barefoot Director. Bye, guys.